Hi, Tinkle Heads, and welcome to yet another episode of Tinkle Meets A Dash. Tinkle Meets A Dash is that talk show where we talk to various personalities from various walks of life and figure out their professional journey so far, what they did to get there, and whether it's all been worth it. With me in the studio, I have Devika Soni, who is our assistant editor. And today we're meeting someone very, very special, someone who is truly an inspiration for a lot of us, someone who has retaken the word journalism, so to speak, and it was losing meaning, at least as far as this person is concerned. Give it up for the very talented Faye Dsouza. Yay! Hi, Faye! Hi! Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and doing this and for agreeing to be a part of this. It means so much to us. You have no idea. We're huge fans. Huge fans.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. I'm really happy to be here. Like I was telling you when we spoke earlier, I've been a lifelong Tinkle fan. So I was super excited to hear from you guys. I was like, yeah.
Let's get into it. So basically, what we want to know, Faye, is what were you like growing up? Like, were you always this firebrand? Like, I will dig out the truth and get the people what they want to hear? Or
so I was really quiet growing up. I got my first pair of glasses in the second standard, which was early, right? So I think it was around the first standard that I figured out that I couldn't see the board. I don't know, my dad asked me something and I said I couldn't read what was on the board, and then my dad wears glasses. So he figured that, hereditary, and we're 4 siblings and I was the only one complaining. So he took me to get my glasses checked, my eyes checked. I got glasses very early, towards the end of the first standard. And so I was a super, what they now call nerdy. At that point, we didn't have nerdy. I was the only kid in my class who had glasses, and I remember initially the glasses would just pass around the class because everybody wanted to try them on, and then they would come back to me. And so I was not very into sports and games. I was a dreamer. I was very quiet. I used to sit in the corner. And my dad introduced me to reading very early. Like, he used to make me sit next to him, and he read a lot, and he would give me a book and said, if you get stuck on a word, ask me. Till then, keep reading. And I had a cousin who gave me a thick, it was this thick, a volume of old Tinkle comics that were bound together. It was this, I still have it somewhere in my parents' house. It's this massive thing. I had one of those, and I had one of, I think it was Tintin, around that same time. So there was Tintin, Asterix, and Tinkle comics. And it was like, and the others, the Indrajil,
the Phantom, Mandrake.
Bahadur, all of
Bahadur,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, all of that, hardbound as well. So these were my companions. I used to take a book, even if there was like a dinner party that my parents would go to, I would take a book with me, and I would find a corner behind the door, under the staircase. I would just disappear. And my mom would come looking for me at dinner time. She was like, say that Achachan, listen, now it's time to go eat. But I don't want to play with the other kids. I was just sitting in the corner reading. And that's who I was until I think almost high school.
So you spoke about your 4 siblings. So you're the youngest, second youngest?
I'm the third.
You're the third.
So 2 older sisters and a younger brother. So we're 3 girls and a boy.
Okay.
My brother and I he just sent me a forward and we were laughing at it. They used to call us Tom and Jerry because we were inseparable, but we would fight constantly. We would constantly be fighting. We were that, we were those siblings. But it was.
But I'm sure he's your biggest fan also.
Yeah, he's very supportive. But it was fun to grow up in a loud, crowded house. I know a lot of kids these days don't have that.
But no, so your brothers, your brother and your sisters, they're also voracious readers, or were they into other stuff, or what was that?
So my brother was more into sports when he was growing up. My oldest, so I think I was the only one into reading to the extent that I was. My oldest sister was heavily into academics. She was the kind of person who would top every exam and get ranks and have gold medals and things like that. So she was very.
Were you a backbencher? You were a front bencher? You weren't the academically gifted like your sister was, like we were established, but you were still above average, better, like middle?
I think I was above average. I was in that average 75% score constantly.
Very respectable.
Very respectable. Enough. In fact, my dad didn't mind too much. My mom felt that I would do the bare minimum to skirt by. She felt that if I really worked harder, I could do better. But I would
yeah. I know that refrain. It's like, it's why my teachers would tell my parents, yeah, he has brains, he doesn't use it.
Yeah, the rest of the time I was just a dreamer, dude. I would be, I was that kid who was always looking out of the window and not paying attention and just being like one floating thing in and out. So.
Were your parents very like hands-on in like your like studying? Like, I mean, did they like sit with you while you did your homework or stuff, or was it like more self-study itself?
It was more self-study, and we had my sister would sit with us because she was.
Oh yeah, she's a star, genius. Yeah. When you have a teacher in the house, then why go elsewhere?
Yes,
right?
So it was very one-trap family-ish in the sense that my parents ran a very tight ship that had schedules. Right, you came home from school. You have this much time to play, and then at this much time you have to do your homework, you have to take a shower, then you have to do dinner, and be very distant. So we would all be at the dining table together doing homework, and my sister would sort of oversee.
What about your teachers? Like, what was your equation with your teachers? Did you have a favorite teacher? Was there a teacher who sort of like said, okay, stop looking out the window, I'm interesting? Did that happen ever? Huh?
So we had an English teacher in high school called Miss Shubha. And another class teacher / English teacher when I was very young in the 3rd standard called Miss Arvikan. I used to really love her. I unfortunately haven't met either of them since I left school, but they made things interesting.
Okay. Like how? Like, I mean, what did they do? Like, if you can.
So they would make it imaginative, right? And the way they could tell a story and explain stuff to you, and it was always happening inside your head.
They could paint a picture properly.
They could paint a picture, yeah, you're right. They could paint a picture. So it was not just about, you have to learn this by heart and come for this.
And I feel like it's crucial, like you have those teacher figures who are there to like sort of play a role. I mean, did this Miss Arvikan like ever like sort of bring you out of your shell? Because you were also sort of reserved and like stuck to your own world, right? Like with your books and your daydreaming.
Yeah, she would insist that I would sit up front because otherwise I would dream. She'd make me read aloud in class a lot. She would call on me to read in class a lot and stuff like that. So, yeah, I suppose she did make the effort to sort of pull me out of my shell as well.
That's cool. Do you feel like that's actually like played a role in what you do today? Like you're on camera for a living. Like, can you actually trace it back there, or is that no? That was something else. This is something else.
I feel like I can trace it back to my time in college, where I really came out of my shell. And so when I was in Mount Carmel College, I discovered public speaking. Like seriously discovered public speaking as a gift, and it gave me confidence in my own opinions, which as a young woman is very important. To believe that your opinion is important, and to believe that it's valid, and to believe that there is space for you to have that opinion and voice that opinion. So luckily I was in a college that encouraged us to think about things, to talk about things, to question things, to have opinions, to form opinions, to challenge each other's opinions. I think that's really important for young people. It sort of gives you confidence also that, okay, I have something interesting to say.
Like, when did you figure out, okay, journalism, that is what I want to do? Like why?
So I figured out journalism in college because, you know how it is, right? You finish your 10th standard, and our college in Mount Carmel had also what we call PUC, which is pre-university college, which is 11th and 12th. And I got into commerce, and it was the kind of commerce that you could score really high in, and
you weren't scoring really high in it.
So my accounts and mathematics scores in my second PUC board examinations were 92 and 96. If I applied myself.
Yeah, that is you applying yourself. Like, that's amazing.
And then I promptly shifted to arts. And, everybody at home was like, what? Because you know how it is, doing a BA was considered such a waste of time. Like it's like this useless thing. So because at that point, and when I went to college, I was introduced to all the reading and the writing and the journalism and the this and that, because suddenly your world is so much bigger, right? You have so much more to read, there's so much more to talk about. I decided then at 18 that I wanted to be a journalist. So I switched from, instead of after my +2, instead of doing BCom, which would have been the natural, or the BBM, which would have been the natural, I shifted to a BA on English literature and journalism and psychology. And decided then that I wanted to be a journalist.
But it still seems like a very on the spur sort of decision. Like, I mean, because your track was commerce and you were doing well in commerce, and then it was purely the love of reading and like the kind of stuff that like sort of pushed you over this side.
So I had really great English teachers who introduced us to a bunch of things, and we would then, suddenly, and I'd gone to like a state syllabus school that was very focused on the exams, and then suddenly you come out into a space where people are discussing current affairs, where there are debates happening, soap boxes happening.
And this is at the PUC level, like.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole college is office. So if the C is doing something, they're doing it in front of you. And I remember somebody did a Narmada Bachao campaign inside of the college, and you could walk up to that person and have an argument with them on what is more important, the dam or the people. And, so it suddenly opens your mind up to all of these things. Your teachers will tell you, read the Hindu, read this editorial in this paper. And it just really opened up your mind. And I just, that was the time also that Indie TV had just started putting out a daily bulletin, which was really cool. Dr. Roy was doing before that World This Week. Kargil had happened at that time. So all of this, it had become a really exciting space. They were really great writers. Endram was in the Hindu in Chennai. They were great writing in our newspapers as well. It was a time to aspire to journalism. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
I mean, I'm sure you are single-handedly like providing a case for journalism even today. Let's move into your first job, which I read is that you used to work at AIR when you were a student.
When I was doing my master's, AIR allows you to do its part-time RJ.
Oh,
no,
like a proper RJ.
I read the news on AIR, man. It was damn cool. Radio is my first love. Radio is the most beautiful medium available. Unfortunately, we don't do much with it in India. We don't have talk radio, and we don't have.
I mean, we have podcasts now, but.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
There's something to radio. I mean, podcasts are also charming. They're different in a different way.
Yeah.
So I had actually gone to All India Radio and auditioned with another friend of mine and got the gig. And it was really cool because they teach you some voice modulation that has really helped. It's not stood me in very good stead in my life. So we would do this part-time RJ, which would also involve reading the news. So I would read the news in All India Radio Bangalore and then jock a couple of late night shows and do some request playing. Lots of 18 Till I Die. Everything I do it for you. People in
Brian Adams is really big in the late 90s, 2000s.
People love Brain Adams. So there was a lot of Brain Adams that we played. But it was fun, and we would get $300 per shift.
That's a reasonable amount of money back in the day, per shift if you're making. That's not bad, this thing at all.
And I used it to pay the interest on my education.
I mean, obviously, your experience with the banking system per se, is that why you went into financial journalism space? I already know exactly how it works. Interest loan lena, interest dena. Maybe I'll get mutual funds to pay off that load.
Yeah, so actually I had started working very early. So when I was in college doing my bachelor's as well, this was the .com had just happened. .com boom was happening. So there were a lot of these sort of youth-focused .coms for which I would write part-time, and they would pay us by the word. And they had people in various colleges writing for them, and I would write from Mount Carmel. So we'd write about what's happening on campus.
Yeah.
And they would pay us for that. And I got one other job that I got, which I haven't actually talked about too much, is when you go to Shopper Stop.
Okay.
There is this voice that says, "Welcome shoppers to Shopper Stop." So for a large part of my college years, I was that person. So it's actually a very interesting job. You have to
It's
go in.
not a recording.
No, sorry. At least when I did it, it was I mean, I was a real person sitting in the corner of the store, and they'll give you a sheet of paper with Aaj ki announcements.
Oh my God.
Every half an hour. There's a mic. So they sit me near the jewelry section, and I had to work a certain number of hours, and there was a lunch break in between. And I would normally do this on Saturdays and Sundays while I was still going to college. And you make those announcements saying that today we have an offer in the men's section. Buy 2 shirts from Louis Philippe and get the 3rd shirt free. And then somebody would lose their kid, and you would be like, "So-and-so, please come to this counter."
Like every day, this is an average day. I'd make the announcement for Louis Philippe, and then somebody lose their kid. We'd find the kid.
Yeah, this is very exciting. So this would happen, and I would get paid, I think, it was between 300 and 500 rupees a shift.
But yeah. I mean, Faye, you are a very enterprising young lady, I must say. Like in college, I didn't do anything compared to like the kind of stuff I've heard. I mean, like.
So, so I was also, and now it's coming back to me because nobody's ever asked me these questions before, right? This is the first time I'm talking about this.
I'm doing this well.
I remember there was one brand of jewelry, everyday jewelry for young women. Sort of like the modern Carrot Lane. I can't remember what the brand was called. But they came to me and said, "We will give you this gold jewelry to wear around campus and tell people that this is what I'm wearing." When someone asks you.
Like, this is part of like Faye's like career trajectory. Invent influencing as like a proper career thing. And then go on to conquer journalism.
And they paid me some money to wear their jewelry for a certain period of time.
Was that also $300 per shift?
And no, it was a larger because I wore it for a couple of months. It was, I wish I had a manager back then to negotiate a better deal for me.
Oh my God. Okay, let's get a little more into your career, like when you started working. So your first job was at CNBC, right?
Yes. No, actually, so my first job was at an ad agency in Bangalore. But I had to do client servicing and I was really bad at it. But then I got this job at CNBC as a journalist, which is what I really wanted to do.
Yeah, so why did you decide to go for the ad agency job when you were set on being a journalist from the age of 18? I
didn't get a job as a journalist for the first 2 months after I finished my master's. So I joined this ad agency. They were very sweet though. And so I'll tell you, I mean, it was really strange. We graduated, I didn't get a job. All my classmates met to party with their first salaries, and I still, for some reason, didn't have a job. Okay, it was really scary, and I was panicking, and I was interviewing desperately in like desperate situations at that point. I was willing to do anything, and I was very clear when I left college. You know how in these, especially media colleges, right? You have this group that is studying journalism, and there's this other group that's studying marketing and advertising and client servicing. And all the jobs at that point were for client servicing and advertising. I was very clear I didn't want to do it, but then I got desperate. And so then I went for this job interview and I just told them whatever they wanted to hear. And I said, no, I will do client servicing. I'll be damn good at it. I'm very this, that, whatever. And I got the job. And then I got a call from CNBC and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. So CNBC was in Mumbai. So I had to move from Bangalore to Mumbai.
So you started at CNBC with this finance beat. I mean, straight off like the mutual funds and all of that?
Yeah. So I started off as a junior producer on a show called Insurance Intelligence, where basically it was a show specifically about insurance. And then that show was discontinued because there was a sponsorship commitment that ran out. And then after that, I became the insurance reporter. They needed a reporter in the Hyderabad office because Hyderabad person would quit. And I said, I'll go. And I'd never been to Hyderabad in my life, but I was just like, why not? So I shifted to Hyderabad overnight and lived in Hyderabad for a couple of years and loved it. It's an amazing city.
So you were saying after your Hyderabad stint, you moved to Bangalore?
I moved to Bangalore. I worked out of the Bangalore office since the Bangalore.
And what were you covering in Bangalore? Like again,
state,
and stuff.
All the businesses in the city. So basically covering Bangalore, Karnataka for CNBC TV18. And then I moved to the Times Group and moved back to Mumbai. So it's a lot of moving.
So the Mirror Now, so you shifted to Times Group, and that was when they were launching Mirror Now, or were you with?
No, so I actually shifted to Times Group when they were launching ET Now, which was their business. So this was 2008,
and this is when you got your own show where you were anchor and editor, right?
Yes.
And then you got your own show. What was that like, getting your own show? Like, you were gonna do it, anchoring, editing, producing.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Having your own show, and up till then, everything that you do, somebody else reviews it once before it goes out. Then finally, when I got my own show, I realized that I'm the last. Yeah. And so deciding what we're going to do on the show this week is, I think, the most fascinating and challenging bit.
So when did Mirror Now happen?
It was initially meant to be called Property Now, and then we called it Magic Bricks Now.
Yeah.
And we launched that channel. Also, simultaneously at that time, the real estate market completely tanked.
Yeah.
And so having a real estate channel didn't make that much sense anymore. And so there was a question of what do we do with it? Because you had this extremely successful Crown in the Jewel in that, which was a primetime show that was doing really well. But the rest of it was not working. So that's when we decided to flip it from Magic Bricks Now into Mirror Now. Just like the Times of India had, the Mumbai Mirror, or the Bangalore Mirror, the Ahmedabad Mirror, to have a similar, sort of TV version of it, where the idea would be that the channel would focus on you.
But it's crazy, Faye, because you are currently the newsreader to an entire generation in this country who don't watch TV channels because it's just noise.
I had started, I would get really frustrated with the way news was being run. I started posting on Instagram news that should be the headlines today. And people started sharing it, and it became really popular. It was just a grey background on which I would write whatever news I thought people should know about. And I remember at that time when I left television, I had 35,000 followers on Instagram. And it just grew from there to 1.2 million from simply sharing the news. And then we just kept figuring out how to do more of this. We do a daily bulletin, we do something else, And then a couple of people joined me. And, you just do whatever feels right.
Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in and watching this episode of Tinkle Meets A Dash. This time, Tinkle met a journalist, news anchor, and all-round good person, Faye D'Souza. Once again, thanks, Faye, for coming on and doing this. Goodbye.